Have you ever had a dream that you've convinced yourself wasn't practical or that it was too late in your life to go after? But no matter how many times you've tried to ignore this dream, it's found a way to remind you that it's been waiting for you. Most of us have at least one thing that we've always wanted to do, but then life happens, adulting happens, bills, survival, comfort, and security happens, and we convince ourselves we're not ready, we don't have enough time, or we're not good enough. And so the dream sits there, waiting. Maybe sometimes for things to align just perfectly in the background. For me as a teenager with torn pages from Inked magazine covering her high school bedroom walls and sketchbooks filled with drawings I imagined one day to be permanently etched into my skin, one of those dreams was becoming a tattoo artist. But as I grew up, I told myself 1,000 reasons why I couldn't do it. And maybe you've done this too. You've told yourself you need more time, more money, more skill, that you'll start when the timing is perfect. But the truth is, the perfect time never comes. And every day you wait, the dream sits there waiting for you to be ready. So what if the only thing stopping our dreams is fear? It's fear with 1,000 faces that are disguises of anything our subconscious has decided was the most important thing that day. I decided to look beyond the many masks that this fear presented itself as when an unexpected opportunity landed in my lap last summer. It was like the universe was saying, "Are you ready now?" And I had a choice. I could keep waiting, or I could finally say yes. So for a little backstory, a tattoo artist that I had been friends with on Instagram for years had reached out to me and offered to teach me. I had this gut feeling that it was just something I needed to say yes to, even though I didn't have a single clue as to how I would make it work, mostly because we live in different states, and there were just so many logistic things my mind could have ran with justifying why I shouldn't do it. But I felt like I manifested this opportunity with her because I always knew this was a part of my path and that LA was a place I was going to spend more time in. I just didn't know how or when it was going to happen. I needed someone I could trust in an industry that is known for inconsistent and sometimes even ill-intentioned practices by many mentors in the space, and my gut just knew that this was the right situation. So I just needed to get out of my own way and go for it. And honestly, saying yes was the easy part. The hard part is actually doing it. I had so many voices in my head questioning this decision after I jumped in, but I just kept trusting it would work out. And honestly, there were some parts of this trip that didn't seem like they were working out, which made me question things even more. I didn't even know for sure where I was going to be staying when I got on the plane. But in the big picture, little hurdles are to be expected, and they're not a sign that it's not meant to be. If anything, I think they're just little tests that keep strengthening our trust in ourselves. If we ride with them and if we surrender to the flow of how things are meant to be and not overthink and overcontrol things, then really magical things can happen. But when we're so new at something, that self-trust is a big piece that's usually missing. But every artist, every creator, every person who's ever took a leap and did something risky for their dreams, at one point they were all beginners. So when it comes down to it, the only difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who don't is they strengthened their self-trust and they didn't let the fear make the decision for them. So at this point in my journey, I'm starting to really settle into being in LA and going to the studio every day and really just feeling like I'm inside this dream that I set out to accomplish. And I'm thankful I got to move out of this hostel I was in. No shade to the hostel, it was really nice. I'm just a very picky sleeper. But I got to move into this private studio apartment where I got to recharge after a week where I had done so much practicing and learning, so much learning. and I took myself out on a little adventure around Little Tokyo in the Arts District, which there's just something so fun and special about getting to take yourself out on a little adventure around a city that you've never been to before, or at least this part of LA I had never been to before. I tried to see some museum exhibits, but they were closed, and I found this really interesting little plaque that gave some information about the murals in the Arts District. If you want to read that, go for it. But anyway, I'm at this very transformational part of this trip where I get to go from just a person practicing a new skill to someone actually going for it, because I get to meet with my first tattoo client right here, who had chosen a very special piece from my flash sheet. And she was amazing. She sat so well. She was so supportive and just really trusted me. If you want to talk about fear, you can probably see me shaking right here. I was so nervous, obviously, because I didn't want to fuck this up, and just the pressure of knowing that this would live on her body and her skin forever. No pressure at all, none at all. But I just took my time, and I thankfully got to practice so much before this. So I really went into this feeling really good. And as I went on, the shaky hand disappeared. My mentor, Justine, was by my side the whole time, giving me feedback, supporting me. And here we are. Here's the finished piece. And I love how she turned out. And more importantly, my client loved how it turned out. So that was so special. And here we are for the next client. We've got our second tattoo finished, and this one was a custom. So my first custom, we got to collaborate on this idea a little bit, so that was really special. And the last one, 3 and 4, was a mother and daughter matching ladybug tattoos. Really, really cute. And surprisingly very difficult, being so tiny. I am at this point, I'm near the end. This is my last day, just getting some final practice in, and just realizing how important too it is to be surrounded by supportive people. If you aren't surrounded by people that believe in you, how are you going to believe in yourself? I do not think that I could be chasing my dreams like this if I didn't really have this amazing support system of people that believe in me as well. And so obviously I learned so much during these 2 weeks, but as I look back, I think about every person I admire, every artist, every creator, every person doing something that they love. They all had a moment where they had to say yes before they felt ready. And most people spend their whole lives waiting to feel ready, but the truth is, you won't ever feel ready until you start. You won't have things figured out before you start. That's the whole point of starting something new. You learn as you go along. So if you're watching this, I hope you take it as your sign. Whatever dream you've been putting off, it's not too late, it's not impossible, you're not too old, and you're so worthy of your dreams. They're just waiting for you to finally say yes. So what if you stopped waiting, and what would the first step look like? If this is something you needed to hear, I hope you take it as your sign. What is one dream you've been putting off? I would love to hear in the comments. And please like and subscribe so I know to make more videos like this.